Hello everyone and welcome to Jen's Wild About Art and my wonky camera. Okay, we fixed that. So today, guys and girls, we are going to be drawing for the prompt house, a little birdhouse, or prompt home. The prompt is home. So I'm going to do a little birdhouse with a couple of little birds sitting on it. I thought that would be a fun interpretation of the prompt. So I'm going to start with erasing that line already. I'm going to start with the front of the bird cage, the bird house, like that. The little bird's tiny. I can make the house a tiny bit larger than. I'll take this up to the top. So I'm doing a triangle shape first for the roof. I'll start with the roof and work my way down to the birds, like that. I'm trying to get to the same height as that. Okay, pop that back a little bit because the little bird house sort of disappears back off into the background, and then I come down to meet that line there. And you can see a little bit of that side of the house, but I'm not going to worry about that so much. I'm going to come down here. So the roof is 2 times the height of the roof is the height of the little birdhouse. So that's how I get my measurements against everything else, as I measure something against another. Like if I'm doing animals, I measure against the head. If I'm doing a house or a structure, I measure against the roof, or whatever I've drawn first, I measure everything against. It helps me to keep things in proportion and the details where I want them. Hello, Ariane. You are the first. Welcome in. Welcome in. How's your day been, Dale? I hope you've had a good one. So I'm just going to draw a little hole in this side. Actually, this is a window, and the house is filled with seed. So I don't know whether to. Oh, you know what? I'll stick with what the photograph says. I'll do the picture as it sits. I'll just add one extra bird, that's all. Do that there. There's a window. He's got his window pane there. Like that. And like go across there. Like that. Righto. And then this little bird is just sitting about here. You can see his little back, like that. I can just do the shape. I won't put the beak in yet. I'll just get the little shape of his little body in, and he's facing away from us, a little bit more that way. And then he's got a little rounded beak, like that. I do love drawing birds. They are one of my favourite subjects. Just got to erase this little bit here. I like using these kneadable erasers because you can roll the eraser part into a point if you so wish, and erase some of the line or all of the line depending on what you want. So yeah, they're really easy. Like I prefer the kneadable erasers to standard eraser any day of the week. There we go. That's a bit better. Bit better of a depth to his head. Having a quick look at my thing. Yep, we're good. Making sure my video quality is good for you guys. Then I'm going to pop. So his tail is about half the length of his body, so that's about right. It's about right. So I measure, yeah, I measure everything. So the roof was twice the length of the building. The bird, his head started at the bottom of the window, and it is the same distance. The length of his body is the same distance from his head to where he sits. Today we had sunshine and 25 Celsius. I took a sunbath. Oh, nice. Nice indeed. That's the perfect day. That is the perfect day Anything over 25 gets too hot. But yeah, that's my idea of perfect. You can do anything and that's not too hot, not too cool. I love that sort of weather. Okay, so I'll pop his little feathers down here. And this little guy, I think he's a sparrow or he's a little red-headed sparrow, I think. We have finches that look very similar to this. He's actually sitting, it's like a little feeder. So I better pop his little feedery bits. How does that go? Okay, that goes like that. And then out that way. There's a little perch off the side. So I'll pop the little perch in. Yeah, I'll pop the perch in like that. Actually, no, I won't. I'll pop it in as it is in the photo. I'll stick to the photo this time. I usually change a little bit, but I'll stick to the reference. So he's got like a little resty post off there where he sits, this little guy. I've just added a bird, that's all. And I've got another reference of pretty much the same picture. Got to try and get them about the same size. I don't draw the beak on first, I draw their shape. And then I add the beak in once I'm happy with the body shape. Like that. And his tail comes out more straight, like that. So his body and his tail, his body is half the length of his tail, so that's about right there. Like that. And then they've got these little finchy type birds or sparrowy kind of birds have little rounded beaks. They look much more like finches to me than little sparrows actually. Now that I'm sitting here looking at them, we've got ones, the wild ones out the back that are very, very similar. Very, very cute. Got his little legs. I've got to drop that bar down that he's sitting on, so I'll drop that down a fraction. Pop his little feet on like that. He's wrapped around his little pole. And then I'll bring the pole down to his feet, sort of. There we go. Like that. And he's got his little sitting bar that he's sitting on. I've got to change the shape of his back and bring his tail up. Like that. He's much more angular. Like that. And then his wing. And again, I got my reference off Unsplash, guys. Unsplash is an amazing royalty-free photo reference site. Oops, and that'll be my dogs going bananas at kangaroos again. They love the sound of their own little voices. The little house is cute. In the pre-show, I thought you may make a nest. Yeah, I was thinking about it. But yeah, I just thought this, because it's the prompt was home, and I thought this is pretty cute sort of picture. And there's another little, there is another little hanging city bit off this side. What are the dogs barking at? No idea. Oh my goodness. How'd you go then? Bear's like, no, I don't want to go outside. Pippi's running around barking, but just going to change the angle here. Oops, like that. All right. And I suppose I better put the hooks. I've got him high up on the page, but I can actually trim down the page later. So that's fine. And then there is a window on this side as well, so I'll pop that in. You can just sort of see the shadows of it into the distance. I've got to try and keep the perspective the same angles. Righto. And then under this feeder, there's all seed in there actually. It's filled with seed, which is incredibly cute. I might have to build one of these for our wild birds. I've got a couple of bird baths out the front. Well, quite a few bird baths hanging around actually. All right. So now I'm just going to shut the door because the dogs are being loud. Stay quiet there, little doggies. Okay. And we are going to start with, what am I going to start with? Let's have a look. I am going to start with, oh, Andy wants to come back in. Goodness gracious me, you bossy little britches. Come on then. Can't half tell who's the boss of this house. It's my doggos. My doggy bogs. Grab my cloth that I've got sitting here. Where's the end? Oh my God, I can never find the end. There we go. I'll make an end. Hello, Ija. How are you? How are you? How are you? All right, so I'm going to start with the little bird here. Oops, and I've got a bit of pigment on my brush. That's not good, but that's okay. Clean that down, clean my brush, then wet the little bird. Wet this little bird. Just all around his little body, because he's mainly grey with a little red face. I'm glad you like it, doll. I'm glad you like it. I hope you've had a wonderful day. And I'm going to mix up a grey with burnt umber. Touch of cobalt blue. Whoops, hang on, I'll do it in this palette so that you can see what I'm doing. So burnt umber, or that's cobalt blue actually, and burnt umber, there we go. Burnt umber and cobalt blue makes a very pale grey. Make that very diluted. And I'm going to drop that onto the little bird, onto his back, where it's going to be greyish feathers. I'll leave some little touches where the white area is. Come down onto his little tail, and that will dry off really, really pale, which is fine. Just pop a little touch of that onto his beak, and the same on this little one over here. I'll wet the paper first, get some water on the brush, take the excess moisture off, and wet his little body. All around there like that. And then drop in. Not enough, I need to make some more. Burnt umber, oh sorry, cobalt blue. Burnt umber, makes that browny grey, which is what I want. Then I can drop that onto his little belly. I want it to be pale because this is the very first layer. So there'll be lots and lots of layers. There'll be about probably 4 layers in this, I would think. I reckon we're going for about 4 layers for this piece. And I'm also going to add, I'll add the red for the roof now. And I reckon it's a cadmium red or red. Yeah, I reckon cadmium red. So we'll go with cadmium red. I might first just wet the roof. Let the little wet birds at the bottom dry. So I'm going to take my brush and just wet that roof area. Wet the whole roof. So that just helps me when I put the watercolour on, it helps it flow. Pop that on, drag it down that side like that. And I'm going to drop the red in on the front first. And up there. And that, when you've done that, the water will hold the paint where you put it. It won't flow anywhere except where you've put it. So wherever you've put the water. Right. So I'll just let that be for a little bit. Just take it around the edge a little bit more. And while it's still wet, grab a little bit more pure pigment, less water, and take that round the fascia of that little birdhouse, just to darken up that front edge, like that. Got a little bit on the paper, that was silly, but anyway, don't quite know where that came from, but all right, I think that's got to be a fraction longer down here. Like that. I'm going to get a bit more on my brush. There we go. Just wanted to darken up that bit there and take it right along that edge like that. I'll leave it alone for a second. I've got to straighten up, square up that bit. We had a bit of a bead at the end there, a bit of a bead issue. So clean my brush. Take the excess moisture off. and just suck up that extra water bit. All right, so I'll let that dry a little bit. Go back onto the little birds. Now they've got little red heads on them. So I'm going to use this same colour red, but very diluted. Very diluted. And come back onto their little heads. Oops. So it's incredibly pale to begin with. And just touch that all around his little top of his little head. And same with this little guy. Leave a little bit. I'm going to try and leave a little bit of white around the eye area. So I'll just take that under his little belly. Get a bit more on there. And come around his little red breast, red chest, like that. I've got to try and clean up that mess. I don't know how I made that, but so I'm just going to rub that while it's still wet. See if I can lift it a little bit. Get my clean cloth. I'm going to I'll put a background around it, I'm pretty sure, towards the end, but I just wanted to clean up that little mess that I've made. So you can just sort of scrub it a little bit and then pick it up with a damp cloth and it just takes away that little smudge. I'll just let that dry a bit more. Now I'm going to go back into, I'm going to get a slightly smaller brush and I'm going to go back into that cadmium red and I'm going to add a little bit of a darker colour, a little bit of brown to it just to dirty it up a bit, because birds aren't solid, you know, they've got earth tones in them, so he's got a little bit of browny red. I've just added a bit of brown to that red to darken up at the back of his little head. And I'll drag that forward. So once I've put that paint down, I've got a bit of water on my brush and just pulled that paint forward. Like that. And I'll take that down his back a little bit. I'll go a bit brighter, bit of a more pure red up here. I'll pop that onto his little chest. He's brighter. Under here, I can see I've got to bring his little chest out a bit. He's got a little puffed up chest, like that. So I'll pop up his little puffed up chest. A bit of fun. Now I'm going to go on to this little guy. I'll let that one dry. Whoops, get a bit more water on my brush. Around here and the top of his little head. Come under here. Oops. Down onto his belly. Got to take that colour a little bit more around his face as well. And it's just like this is the very beginning layers. We're just blocking in the main colours of the little birds. Leave little gaps of light. Now, what am I going to use for the wood tone? For the wood tone, I'll let the little birds dry and I'm going to do the wood tone. It's a yellow ochre, the yellow ochre grey. So I'll try to see what I can mix up. So, actually, I'm going to get rid of that yellow ochre. I'm going to get rid of that grey there. And I'll mix up a bit of burnt umber, like that. Bit of yellow ochre. See what happens. Bit of burnt umber. Bit of a yellowish tone. For a base coat, that'll do. So I'm just going to run that around. And what I can also do with this birdhouse, yeah, that's a pretty good match, is I can use my watercolour pencils to add lines, any detail that I want to add. I've pulled out my watercolour pencils yesterday and I thought, you know what, I'm going to have to use these because I don't use them enough. And they're fun to use and I don't use them that often. So I thought, you know what, we're going to use them. And then you can see how watercolour pencils work with detail as well. So I take that down the front there. So yeah, I've mixed ochre with a little bit of brown. A little bit of ochre with a little bit of umber to get this tone. for the base colour of the little house. I'll cut around the little bird. It's quite a nice colour actually. That works really well for what I wanted. All right. The little bird bath is, or the not bird bath, the little feeder bit is red as well, so I'll pop that in. That side's all in shadow, but I will pop the ochre in first. And then I'll go over that with a purpley colour for the shadow, a purpley grey, but I'll let it dry a little bit. So now I'm going to go under the bird with some of the cadmium red. I'll just clean that red off the palette. Grab you a bit of cloth. I love these porcelain palettes. They're so easy to clean. And because you can only see these first two little bays, I'll just use the first two little bays. So I'll just keep cleaning them for you. So you can see what I'm doing. Go a bit of cad red. Pure cad red there. And I'm going to put that underneath. Staying away from that tail a little bit. So I reckon there's still a little bit of water on there. Whoops. Just run that across here, and I'm using watercolor paper hot press again. As you can tell, hot press watercolor paper is my favorite, and it's the, what's the brand of it? I'm completely blank on the brand of it. The brand of it is Fontaine. That's the one. Fontaine watercolor paper. That's what I'm using, and it's quite nice. I do think I like Arches better as far as it goes, but this is quite good for everyday use. All right. Right. Okay. These little heads dry. I'm going to go in around the windows with a bit of grey. Got a bit of grey here. Can't see it on the screen. There we go. You can just see the edge of it. Whoops. Got a bit of ochre in there, but I better clean that out. Got a bit of red on my hand as well. Get a bit of grey into here. There we go. That's better. And I'm going to do around the window's edge because I reckon that's dry. And I'm just going to quickly touch in around the edge of this window frame. This is a lovely little design birdhouse. Might have to, I mean, we've got bird boxes. They're just a solid box. They don't have little windows in them. But they've just got a hole in the front. And the wild birds like them. They seem to use them, which is lovely. This helps protect them. And we've got a heap of little birds, little wrens that live in my front garden bed. And they just have their little nests in the bushes. They know they're safe there. We'll shoo any predators away. And the dogs don't bother them. So they're quite happy raising their little baby birdie families in my front garden bed. We've got all kinds of birds. It's wonderful fun. All kinds of birds here. Actually, yesterday we had a flock of galahs, which was really cool. I mean, we see galahs, but not usually up that close. Usually they're up in the trees. But they were down at the house yesterday, which was really cool. Because we don't usually get that close to them. Cockatoos, yes. Galahs, no. So, yeah, that was really cool. It was good fun. Okay, so we've done that like that. I've just got to rest my finger in there because I can't do a straight line otherwise. I'm not very good at straight lines. I struggle with straight lines. It's one of my not so great things that I do. The house is actually filled with seed. This is like a bird feeder more than a bird house. So it's filled with seed, but I don't know whether I'm going to do the seed or I'm just going to do shadow. I think I might just do shadow in there. I'm not quite sure. How I'd go about it. Righto, now I can start to add some detail. I've got to do the silvery blue grey around the edges of the metal. So what I'll do is I'll clean out my ochre here, clean that out, grab a little bit of cobalt blue and dilute it right down. And that'll be the metal colour. Because it reflects the sky colour. So I'll just do it the palest, palest, palest blue. Like that. Like that. Under that little bit, I'll pop a little shadow under there. So that they're just little perches. Little perches. And I will pop the seed in, you know. I'll pop some shadow in. I'll go in with purpley colour into the window boxes, into the window holes. So blue, bit of blue, a bit of the cad red. Make that purple up. There we go. That's a good shadow colour. That's because I did that so thinly, that'll be dry. And I'll just pop that in the holes in the windows. And then while that's wet, I'll drop a few other colours in there as well, because that'll help to give it a little bit of depth. Which will be cool. And it's Friday here, so I'm a bit excited. Weekend again, woohoo. Not that I do anything differently. It's all the same thing because we're in lockdown, yay. So can't go anywhere, can't do anything. I'll just do art all weekend, woohoo. Makes me happy. Doing art makes me happy. Okay, so just block that in. Do the side one. You can barely see the side ones. And then I'm going to pop in even a bit more burnt cobalt blue. A little bit more red, make it a slightly darker purple, so less red, more blue. And I'm going to drop that in this top corner. And I'll drag that around just to create a little bit of... You don't want it to look flat. You don't want the shadows to be flat. I learnt that from one of my friends who's an amazing artist. You want to pop all different colours in shadows, or all different consistencies into shadows, just to give it interest. I'll mix up a bit more. Might go a different blue, might go a bit of... I'm just adding a little bit of indigo to that. Take that red, pop that in there. So that gives me another different purple into the shadows. Like that. All right. And I'll use that darkish purple. So that's ultramarine, a little bit more of that red. Might grab a little bit more from my palette. There we go. And pop that around this side. Oh, that's too much red. Go back to the indigo, a bit more indigo. I'll make that a dark purple shadow around here. Like that. Doesn't have to meet the edges. That'll show you the differences. I'll darken up that side. I'll do the bird detail last, because that's going to be the fun bit. Super duper fun bit. I mean, it's all enjoyable, but that's the super duper fun bit. It's going to darken up around the edges of the windows. Oops, got a little bit onto the birdie head. I'm very quick. I can get that off in a minute. Hang on. Clean my brush. I'm just going to scrub that and see if I can lift it. Yep, perfect. Lifted it a little bit. Lifted it enough. I'm happy with that. Just takes that little line back that I didn't want. I'm going to soften that edge on that blue just there. Righto. I'm going to get a clean bit of cloth. Get back onto the building. I'm going to go in with, again, with some cad red. I'll clean my palette for you. Clean the palette, get that pigment off, because I'm having it where I can show you what I'm doing. Grab some more pure cad red. I'm going to run around the house, build up another layer. Just on that front trim. Same on here. Take it down that side. I apologise for the shadow there. I need some more pigment. There we go. Run that down there. like that. I've made that side a fraction longer, I think. It doesn't matter, I can't do any, I can probably extend that down a fraction more, like that. And then give that bit of a trim, like that. That's a bit better. That's a little bit better. And then I'll drag that up. Like that. I can alter that. Like that. Then go across that top bit. Righto. Drag that down a little bit. There. Okay, I'll let that dry. And I've got to add the seed into the bit where they're sitting. And there's a mixture of we'll just drop in little dots of all different colours, because there's sunflower seeds and little yellow seeds and all kinds of seeds. So I'll drop in the little yellow seeds, and sunflower seeds are black, so I'll just drop in a bit of grey. And I can use, I've got a bit of Payne's grey there, I'll just use a bit of Payne's grey. And just drop a couple of little blobs of that in, not a lot. Just to keep the variation around, and I'll do a little tiny, then when that's dry, I'll pop a wash of a very thin glaze over the top. I probably should have done that first, but it's too late now. Anyway, doesn't matter. You learn on the go sometimes. All right. So I'm going to go over that, the window's edge with a bit of Payne's grey, and I'm going to add a bit of indigo to it just to add a bit of something. Like that. Take that around the edge, not solidly. I don't want it to be just looking flat. I'll have it sort of a bit not perfectly straight lines. I think adding another colour to it helps to keep things interesting. It's not just one flat colour. Come around his little beak like that. There we go. Then I'll do the same on this bit. That'll make it a bit darker at the front. Like that. There we go. All right. Now, there's shadow up under that top bit. So I'm going to mix up shadow colour, which is basically a purpley colour. So I'm going to use a bit of the colour that I've got sitting on my palette with a bit of the red to make up a shadow colour for under the veranda. And I'm going to wet it a little bit. I'm going to clean my brush, make sure it's clean. I go through an awful lot of kitchen towel because I have a brush in my hand, a piece of cloth in my hand the whole time, so that I can constantly wash out my brush and keep it clean. I tend to use only 2 or 3 brushes at any one time. I'm just wetting now, wetting around the front where there's going to be shadow, where there's shade coming from that roof. And then I'm going to drop in the purple, let it flow around where I've just wet. And that'll create a soft little shadow. I'll pick up that bead at the edge. So it starts off very pale to begin with. And I'll make it a bit darker as I go. Bit of blue. Bit of red. Bit more blue. Not that much blue. Bit more red. Keep going until I get it where I want it. There we go. And then make it even darker right in the top. Like that. And then drag it down. Because there's wood texture on this. Like the wood grain going down. So I'll pop that in there like that. I might just drag that edge a little bit, so that doesn't all bead up right there. Just like that. And I'm going to take these lines of this shadowy colour very gently down to create that effect. Down the wood like that. All right, I'm going to have to add more shadow in up there. So I'll go make a bit more of that darker shadowy colour right up in here. Oh, what did I do there? I've got a blob. I can clean that up though. Quite fine. Just going to take that shadow and make that a bit stronger. Clean my brush, clean it really well. I've got a clean water thing here. Make sure that's very clean. And then go in and scrub that. Try and lift it off. There we go. I've just got to get my bit of cloth. Oops, today's there's a bit of blue pigment in there. I'll do a background anyhow, so it doesn't really matter, but the other paints I used the other day lifted brilliantly. This is not wanting to lift. That's okay. It's better than it was. I can do a background anyway. I'll do a light blue background. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Okay, so let's have a look. So I'm going to add a little bit. I'm going to clean my palette. I think it's because I've got my palette too close to the... I usually have my palette way off to the side, away from my painting. I'm going to pop a little bit of transparent sienna in. I think. I'm going to go in with a little bit of transparent sienna onto the wood. It's a lovely colour. Just not all over it, just in a couple of spots. Like down the texture of the wood almost. Down this left-hand side. I should probably just wet the page. I'm just going to wet it and then drop some in. Like that, and then let it do its thing. And darken up this side. Clean my brush. Drop in my transparent sienna. A bit more on my doodah. There we go. Go over the shadow area. Like that. All right. And this side, I'm going to wet this side. I might even pop in some more of that shadowy colour. Oops, maybe not that much. Like that. Dilute it down. And then take that down this side because this is pretty much in shadow down there. So just like a purpley grey colour down that side and let it sit. Like that. I've got to go really dark in under there. Right up near the roof there is really dark. That's the darkest shadow. It comes down there a bit. And just let that flow down a little bit. And then really darken up right along that ledge. Right along there. That. All right. Okay. Let that sit for a minute. Go back and have a look at the little birdies. Little birdies. I don't like what I've done here, but the background will cover that. Okay, little birdies. Let's go in. I'm going to get some more cloth. I still haven't had a sip of my coffee, silly me. Ah, yummy. Okay. I always forget my coffee. Always, always, always. Every stream, I forget my coffee. So, now, these little guys, I'm going to go in. What is that noise? I think it's my washing machine. I'm like, who turned the jug on? It's like, not the jug, it's the washing machine doing its thing. So now I'm going to start adding feather texture. And I'm going in with transparent sienna in the directions. Hello, Candid. How are you, doll? I loved your giraffe painting, doll. That was gorgeous. Beautifully done. Absolutely gorgeous work, doll. Because giraffes are not easy. They are not easy to draw, and you did a beautiful job. So anyone in chat who's not following the Candid Crafter, please pop across and check out the work. Doing well, thank you. Awesome. Glad to hear it, Dale. Glad to hear it. Me too. I'm excited because it's the weekend. Well, it's Friday. So close enough to the weekend. I love weekends. Even though I don't do anything or go anywhere, I still love them. All right, now I've got to do his little beak in. The little beaks are grey. But I'm going to make a burnt umber cobalt blue grey. So I'll clean out that little round palette at the front bottom left. Thank you for the compliments. Oh, my pleasure, Dale. It's true. It's all true. You do beautiful drawings, beautiful work. And I like how, even though they're shorts, I like how you do voiceovers on them. My shorts I haven't voiceovered. I like how you've done that. So I'm going to add some grey. You should do them on TikTok as well. Do little TikTok shorts. So now I'm going to pop this little grey. Sort of going to blend him in. It's a bit of a problem. It's going to blend him in with that window. But what I can do is I can add a little white highlight towards the end. I will have to, I think. I should have left a highlight, but I didn't. But I will add one back in. So that's not the end of the world. Now I'm going to add a warmer brown, and I'm going to go in with a bit of mahogany, I think. Clean that bit of blue out there. Go in with a little bit of mahogany. Grab me mahogany. You can tell the colours that I use the most. My palette's got holes in it where I've dug through the paint. Okay. So I'm going to go a little bit of mahogany, a bit more mahogany on there. A bit stronger. There we go. Under here. Take that down like that. I'll go around his little eye. Oops. Would be my son-in-law messaging me. Is everything okay? Oh. He sent me a photo. They got married a little while ago, and he just sent me some of the wedding photos. That's cool. All right. Now I come down and around here. How am I going to do that? Oh, that's a different kind of grey. Might use a bluish colour. I've got to go darker around the bottom. Stronger around, I'm going to go in with a bit of geranium. It's a really strong red. Just around the front of his little chest. He does have a very vibrant little chest. And right on the front of his little face. I need to get a bit more there. Like that. Oops. Drag that around a little bit. So I'll just wet my brush and drag out that pigment. It just helps me move that colour around. That. Got a little hairdo that goes off to the back. Okay, I've got to do something. I'm going to see if I can use my white pencil, the watercolour pencil, just to take back that beak a little bit. Because it's not really going to let me do it, I don't think. Oh my gosh, I've got little red bits everywhere. I'm very messy today. I'm being very messy. Clean my brush. Oh, I've got my bin on that side. I think I've got my bin on the wrong side. Doesn't help me. Don't know why I'm being so messy today. Just got to pick that up. Try and get that off. Like that. That's not lifting. Yep, oh well. Can't do anything about it. I'll just have to go over it with my background colour at the end and it'll be fine. Got to have faith that it'll be okay. It'll all be okay. Right, so I'm going to go into the eye with a little bit of transparent sienna. Got a hair on my hand. All right. Go into my eye with a little bit of transparent sienna. I don't want it to be a solid dark. like that. Same on that one. Righto. And then go back into my geranium on this little bird on the right. And geranium's the colour of the paint I'm using. Take that down onto his little chest. I'll drag that down and around. I think I've just got everything too close to my painting. I'm trying to get it into camera shot, but it's not really conducive to a clean painting. All right, take that down and around onto his little tum. The red goes sort of halfway back, and then he's got a little pattern. I like how you did the window. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's just a few different purples in the shadow areas. It just keeps it interesting, stops it looking so flat. I was taught that by one of my amazing artist friends. I'm going to add this dark shadow colour. Yeah, because, you know, even when you look into a shadow, you can see shapes and reflections, and they're never just dark, solid dark. There's always lots of different colours in a shadow. Oops, come down here. I want to mix up a purple, a bit more of a purple. Down onto the belly, right underneath. He's got a little bit of grey, but I'm going to use that purpley colour around his little eye and the underside of his little beak, or the top side of his little beak actually, and then the underside as well. Okay, now I'm going to go transparent sienna. Transparent sienna. Oops, got some over here still. Take that in the strokes in the direction of his feathers. Actually, there's shorter feathers at the top, longer feathers at the back. So this is just the base layer, guys. It looks a bit all over the place at the second, but we'll do more feather detail. His tail's sort of folded up. He's got a bit of reddy brown under there. We go over that with a bit of that transparent sienna onto his belly, because he's got a mixture of all the colours on his little bod, on his little middle birdie bod, like that. All right, having a quick look. Now I'm going to go a bit of grey. So I'm going to mix up my own grey. I like my own grey better. Burnt umber. Just make it more pigment, less water. Burnt umber, keep that on the palette. And cobalt blue. Makes a strong grey, but it's a natural sort of a grey. I'm going to very carefully pop in proper feather detail. Like that, coming right down that wing on that little bird. And then these long ones taper right down and fold in to his little back, like that. Same on this side. They're darker towards the middle though. There's the shorter feathers at the top, then they taper in and they cross over underneath, but I'm not going to worry about that so much. And he's got his little grey leg that I haven't done in. Pop his little leg on like that. And I've got to grey up these tail feathers because he's got grey in his tail feathers. So I'm just going to pop a bit of grey on there and drag that around a little into those little light bits like that. All right, now to go on to this guy because they look terribly flat. I've got to really do something with that beak. Where is... I'm just going to add a highlight onto that beak. It's driving me crazy. There we go. It's got to separate that beak. There we go. That'll do. That'll do that. Leave it alone. That's short and sweet. Fixed it. And then I'm going to go onto this little guy and add this grey to his feathers as well. He's got these little feathers that come down like that. Another row of feathers that come across to his back like that. And then these ones, got lots of these lined feathers. This is a very blue grey, guys. It's a cool grey that I've mixed up. I'm using the very tip of my brush. Take that like that. And then these feathers are the longest. So I'm just going to take, I need that to be stronger. So I'm going to go blue, bit of burnt umber, bit more blue. Need it to be a bit more of a bluey grey. There we go. That's what I wanted. Bit more of a bluey grey. Take that in the lines of his little feathers. Like that. On his underneath of his tail, more so. I've got to really darken up under here. I've got to do around his little eye. I've got to give him a stronger eye colour. But I'll grey his little legs off. He's got his little leg comes around here, and he's got his little leg sort of sitting on the perch. Like that. And then that one's under there, but you can't really see the other leg. And I'm just going to soften that, drag it, clean my brush. Lift that a little bit. We got a little bit too strong there, but it doesn't matter. All right. He's got his little toes wrapped around there. I'm going to add a little bit of, there's my gouache. A little touch of gouache. Got to take back that light a little bit. Made it a little bit dark. Lift it off anyway. Lift it off a little bit. Right, so I'm going to pop a background in because this messy background is driving me crazy. First of all, I'm going to pop his little loops on the top. I'm just going to go in with a bit of blue for the links that are holding him up to the doodah, up to the top. Just like that. Nice and simple. Nothing too complicated about those. Go on the underside. Backside's a bit darker. All right. Actually, I should let that dry completely before I consider going back in. I might work on his little eye. I've got to shadow up. I'm going to go a bit of this purpley colour onto that side of the tinny bit where his perch is. Come under here. That's the darkest where he's sitting. And lighter towards the front. Same on that side. This one might be your favourite so far. Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. I do love painting birds. It's lots of fun. So you're darker at the back and lighter at the front. Today's doesn't matter. All right. So while that's drying, I'll pop his little eyes in. I'm going to be very, very careful. I'm going to grab my smallest brush, I think. That's my littlest brush with my finest point. I'm going to go into his little eye. Try not to get too much water on it and mess him up. Just go around his little eye. Whoop. This brush has only got about 3 hairs on the end of it. Just the tiniest little brush on the end. Just got to touch into there. Go under his little beak. Under there. Righto. I've made a mess. I've got to try and drag out this shadow here. I'm going to try and re-wet it a little bit and move that shadow because it's a bit flat looking, a bit hard and flat looking. There we go. Just want to soften that shadow there. I don't like that at all. It comes right up under his beak. There we go. And then it is quite dark going down. I'm not going to do it in a line. It's in feathery texture. Like that. It's a fuzzy wuzzy bit. All right. Now I'm going to do the background, I reckon. So what I'm going to do is not grab the biggest brush that I've got. I'm going to clean my palette first. Clean my palette. Just give it all a wipe. Down here, over here to the right. And I'll go, it's dry up there, definitely dry up there. I'll just be careful around the little birdies. I don't think, there's only that bottom bit that's a little bit damp. That's dry already, that's dry already. You can see I rest my hands in my work, which is a really bad habit. I think I've got my tilt on too much of an angle, but I have that so the watercolour can run. But I end up covered in it. Oh, where's my other brush? What did I do with it? Oh my god. Oh my god. Where did my other brush go? Where did I put it? I've got two of them, but that's not the one I'm after. Where's the brush? Oh, there it is. Hiding. It's hiding. All right. Grab some more cloth. Make sure my brush is very, very clean. Incredibly clean, because I don't want any other colours in here. And I'm just going to go with cobalt blue background. Just different strengths of cobalt blue. And I'm going to cut around. I'm not going to do it solidly all around the picture. I'm just going to do directly around the birds, directly around the aviary, the little feeder. Lefty, I understand the pain of putting here. Oh, I'm very clumsy. I am very clumsy. And I rest my hands. Or even when I draw, I rest my hand. And I do a lot of digital work too now. And I do that on my iPad, and I rest my hand on my iPad and undo everything when I do it. Okay, so I'm going to work in sections. I'm going to work in sections. I'm just going to grab a ton of cobalt blue here, and I'm going to drop that in and let that flow. Drag that right around the outside, because I've only put the water in around the birds, so it shouldn't flow over the bird, and it shouldn't mingle with any of the other colours. All going to plan. See how it flows around his little beak? So I'll just take that into the edges a bit more. Come right around here. I can pick up any excess because there's an awful lot of water on there. So what I'll do is I'll, go in, pick up the excess with clean dry brush, just come around the edge of that little bird like that. Pick up anything that's too much water. Leave a little gap of light around the edge of that aviary. I don't mind that at all. And that'll dry back quite pale though, so we won't have to worry. It will dry back quite pale, and then I'm gonna do that around here as well. So wet his underneath. Not going over the whole painting, just directly underneath the birds. So come down in an abstract, just an out of pattern shape. Like that. And then I'm going to drop cobalt blue in there. And let it run. And come up reasonably close to that little bird. Around the perch. And take that around the bottom of the feeder. Like that. Down under this side. Like that. And I'm going to soften up that edge. Just clean my brush, pick up that bead, and just drag out that. That'll sort of flow down a tiny little bit more. Like that. And then, so I'm working on this in 3 sections because that way it doesn't dry off too much for me and I end up with an even consistency of pigment. Because if I wet the whole paper, half of it will be dry by the time I get to it. I don't like that I get lines in the edges, but I'm not fast enough to do it in one big swoop. One of my friends is, oh my God, one of my friends can do, you know, the full sheets, can do a full sheet, wet it, and still get all the pigment on. It amazes me. Absolutely amazes me. So I'm just going to take that cobalt blue, get a bit more there. Down and around there. Whoops. Like that. So drag that bit down there a bit. Move that little bit around. Cut around my perch. There we go. Righto, so that's really simple. It's a simple, not finished, but I like backgrounds like this. I like, you know, it's fun. It's loose, it's quirky. I like soft backgrounds like that. I've got to do in between the perches though, which I will do. I'm just going to pop a little bit, finish that line, pick up that excess moisture. And I'm going to go into the perches, into the middle with the same colour, like that. Pop that in. Same here. I can leave little gaps. I can't even say gaps. Little gaps of light, like that. Righto, like the background like that. I like them unfinished like that. I like the loose, soft. You know, it's a sketch. It's not a. It's a fun little sketch. So it's not meant to be stressed over or. It's meant to be just light, soft. Sort of. I could turn that into a gift card. Like I could write on the back of it for someone for Christmas, or you know, I can paint some little holly on it and make it into a Christmas card, because I do that a lot. I do turn sketches like this. I will gift at Christmas, birthdays. I turn them into birthday cards, things like that. I love doing that, and people love it because it's, you know, it's something that's handmade. They can frame it, or they can stick it in a book, or they can do whatever they like with it. But just going into a little bit of gouache, a little bit of my white gouache, just to pop a couple. It's not really working. The gouache is not really playing the game with me. I just want to add a couple of little lights in, get some little highlighty bits back onto his little beak and stuff. Just little dots of it. It just softens things up, keeps things a bit light, and because I'd lost the lights, I got a bit heavy-handed. Got a bit excited with the red. I did. A bit excited with the red, but that's okay. It happens. It's all about having fun. All art is about having fun. Loving what you do and sharing it with people you care about. All right. I do have to brown up. I don't know that I need to add any. I need to probably pop a shadow. I don't want to though. I probably aren't going to add a shadow under this little bird. I am going to add a shadow under this little bird. Okay. I can't not do it. I've got a shadow just directly underneath these birds on the feeder, because there is shadow there, and that's what makes things look three-dimensional. Shadows are really important. They're critical, actually. Shadows are critical because that would be in shadow. So I'm just going to add the tiniest little bit of the purpley colour and take it down. I'm not going to go into that background because that background is still wet. Take that down there, almost to the bottom. Not quite though. And then on this side, same. Because there is shadows. You can't forget your shadows. They're really important. All right, and it makes things look real. So, while that's there, I'm just going to drop a little bit of this strongery purpley colour in there like that, and let it flow down like that. So just even that helps a little. It's got to stay out of the background because otherwise I'm going to make a hell of a mess. And then going to trim up that bit there. Whoops. On this side. Staying out of the background, just on that side. Because if I go in the background, it's going to run like crazy. Whoops, the days doesn't matter. See how I can't hold a straight line? Drag that around there like that. Down the bottom. There we go. And then same on this. Whoops, not that much. It's too much water. Too much water on there. And then that side. Right. That's pretty good. Pretty good. All right, am I going to do anything on this side? I don't think so. I might just go in with a slightly stronger transparent sienna. Just a bit more transparent sienna. With a touch more brown. Just to strengthen up. Make sure my brush is a little bit damp. Stay out of my background. My wrist. I'm just going to darken up this edge of this little house. Pop some grain, wood grain, just down there. Not all over it, just on the shadow side. Just makes it a little bit more interesting. Like that. Like that. So that just darkens up that side a little bit. Might go in. Got to be careful here. On the fascia of that tin, or the top of the lid. Like that. That does disappear off. I was going to do a light line and a sort of broken line in the background there. And I reckon I'm going to call that done, peeps. I'm quite happy with that. For a fun little sketch, I'm quite happy how that turned out for the prompt home for today. So I'm going to sign it down the bottom here. Sign it down here. Like that. Give it a clean. And I am going to call that done, peeps. So I will be back tomorrow for more of World Watercolour Month with tomorrow's prompt. What's tomorrow's prompt? Let's have a look. What is tomorrow's prompt? Tomorrow's prompt is weathered. Oh, that'll be fun. Okay, so thank you so much for hanging out. I'm glad you like it. It was a fun one. It's a fun little sketch. So I'm glad you like it, and thank you so much, Dale, for being here. So I will, I'm going to I'll go and do a live stream on Instagram next. I'm having a go at Instagram. Tomorrow is weathered. It is, so that'll be a fun one. But I'm going to go and have a little play on playing with Instagram live streams as well. So I'm going to have a little go at that. And then I will see you guys tomorrow. And if you're not following my Instagram, I don't know how to stick it in my doodah, but I'll pop it in the links below anyhow. If you want to follow my Instagram, awesome. It was a fun one, Ariane. It's a fun one. And it will make a nice gift card. You know, I can trim it down and make a card for someone and, give it away for Christmas or a birthday or something like that. I love to do that with my sketches. They get gifted to family members for birthdays and Christmases and all the special occasions. So it's a fun one. So thank you so much for being here, guys and gals, and I will see you tomorrow. Have an awesome day, and thank you again. I love the support. Now I'm going to go check out Candy Craft. Oh, yes, awesome. Me too. Oh, you got it. She's amazing. Her work, she does the most beautiful little, she did a gorgeous giraffe a couple of days ago. Absolutely stunning. So, yes, awesome. Check her out. Everyone, check everyone out. And I'll see you later, guys. I will. Thank you. I enjoyed having you here, Dale. I enjoyed having you all here. I love hanging out, having a chat.